Welcome to KBS World Radio. You're now tuned in to Korea 24's Korea Book Club, where we explore the world of Korean literature. This is our weekend replay edition, playing back our book segment from Wednesday's show. We hope you enjoy it. I'm your host, Kwon Jang-woo. Joining me once again in the studio is Barry Welsh, literary critic and our long-time contributor. Barry, hello. It's great to see you again.
Yes, hello. It's great to see you too.
Okay, so what do you have for us this week?
So this week I am reviewing To the Kennels, recently published and very compelling short story collection by Pyun Hye-young, who we're big fans of here and is, of course, perhaps still most famous for the Shirley Jackson award-winning novel The Hole. And the Korean title is Sayukjang Choguro, and the collection was originally published in 2007. The translators of this English edition are Sora Kim Russell and Heinz Insu Fenkl. And Pyun's new collection, or new for English readers, offers another series of very unsettling tales that explore the eerie undercurrents of everyday life. And the stories range from a variety of scenarios. So we have a couple's fog-shrouded sort of road trip date that spirals into a surreal and terrifying nightmare. A family's dream of suburban bliss unraveling amidst financial strain and the incessant barking of dogs from nearby kennels. And Pyun, as she does in many of her other works, masterfully infuses these narratives with trademark psychological depth and understated suspense, and as always, a touch of the uncanny. And she excels here again in creating a Kafkaesque tapestry that's both familiar and frequently disconcerting. And Pyun's prose searches into the complexities of modern Korean existence, and she excels in revealing the latent anxieties and disconnections that permeate our lives. And readers will find To the Kennels another thought-provoking collection that I think lingers long after the final story.
Yes, so already for people who know Pyun's works, some of those adjectives you've used to describe this collection, such as eerie, unsettling, surreal, Kafkaesque, they will not come as a surprise. So tell us more about this collection. Can you expand on what readers can expect from this book?
Right, sure, of course. So if you're already a fan of Pyun Hye-young, I think you'll know whether or not you're going to enjoy this collection. So it's a collection of 8 very eerie and very unsettling short stories, like you said. And like some of her other short stories, these aren't your typical plot-driven tales. They're more like quiet, creeping portraits of people whose lives are slipping out of their control. And the stories are often set in grey, nameless cities or anonymous towns, sort of referred to only by letters. And these are places that might feel oddly familiar, but strange and disorienting at the same time. And the characters are by and large just sort of run-of-the-mill people. We have a middle manager in an office, a construction worker, his secretary, girlfriend, a couple going on a weekend date, and these are people who find themselves caught in strange and often claustrophobic situations. Lots of the stories are subtly surreal, like the man who starts losing his grip on reality after misplacing his boss's briefcase, and then there's one or two that are grounded more in realism but are still quite disturbing in their own way, such as a family that are sort of tormented by the relentless barking of dogs from the nearby kennels. And many of the stories often end ambiguously, which might frustrate some readers, but that's kind of part of their power and Pyun's skill. So she doesn't usually offer clear resolutions. Instead, she drops the reader into these very bleak little slices of life where this sense of unease lingers and nothing feels quite right. And as a collection, it explores the general sense of horror that we can find in the everyday, whether it comes from financial financial stress or social alienation or just quiet despair. But Pyun does this in such a skillful and atmospheric way that I think many will find themselves completely absorbed, even as they're unsettled. So it's not a warm or cheerful read by any stretch of the imagination, but it is fascinating, and I think it really will stay with many readers. And if you like this type of fiction that blurs the line between the ordinary and the uncanny, then this collection is certainly worth diving into.
Okay, so from what you're telling us, these stories seem quite bleak, as we've gotten used to with her works. So what's the appeal? What draws readers in, do you think?
Yeah, right. So these are very bleak stories, but they're very compelling stories. And I think where Pyun is particularly talented in drawing readers in is that she takes these everyday situations and turns them into something deeply unsettling, but they don't ever tip over or usually don't tip over into sort of full-blown horror. It's usually a quiet, sort of creeping dread that builds beneath the surface of very ordinary lives. So there's no jump scares here. There's just this slow realization that something's not right, whether that's a house slowly sinking into decay, or a road trip that never seems to end, or just a man going slowly crazy after just a minor mistake. And I think part of the appeal here is just how relatable the starting points are. We can all identify with these characters. We all know people like this, and we are people like this. There are people dealing with work stress or relationship breakdowns, money troubles, or just the general sheer exhaustion of modern life. And Pyun taps into this and adds just enough strangeness, an escaped zoo animal or a neighbour's suspicious behaviour, a crumbling wall, an old tomb, that pushes these stories into this sort of uncanny area. And so the tone is undeniably dark, but there's just something I find very satisfying about it. She really taps into this shared feeling of unease, like we're all just barely holding it together, and in a way she shows that we're not alone in that. And there's, I think, also a kind of beauty and skill in her restraint. She never over-explains or wraps things up neatly. And it's this ambiguity, this sort of unresolved element that keeps these stories alive after you finish them. So, yes, very bleak, but also weirdly familiar. And I think, as you'll know, that I think her stories and her work is quite addictive.
Yes, it sounds like, as you said, for anyone familiar with her works, they will enjoy these stories. And this collection, as you said, was originally published in Korean in 2007. So these stories have been around for a while, but only recently published in English. But it sounds like this could be a good collection now for newcomers to get to know Pyun and her eerie writings as well. Once again, it's called To the Kennels by Pyun Hye-young, translated by Sora Kim Russell and Heinz Insu Fenkl. And that was our pick for Korea Book Club this week. Barry, thank you for that recommendation once again, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Take care.
Take care.
And that's all for this week's Korea Book Club. You can check out more of the works we discussed on our website at world.kbs.co.kr. Join us again next week.
KBS World Radio.